Well, good morning, everyone. This is Don K. Preston. Welcome to my morning musings. It's great to be back with you. Enjoying a cup of coffee here really early of the morning. Hope your day is going really well. I'm continuing to share with you my journey to the full preterist view of eschatology. I've shared with you that I was raised as a fifth-generation amillennialist. Had no clue about what the preterist view was. I was always encouraged, however, to read and to study the scriptures and for myself to make up my own mind, taking in as much evidence as I possibly could. I've shared with you how a ladies' Bible class asked me to teach a class on the Olivet Discourse, and how I was so concerned about that because my professors in seminary expressed uncertainty when I read the commentaries. Uncertainty. People were just all over the map. And this goes all the way back in church history. People like to say, oh, we got to rely on church history. Well, if you rely on church history in regard to the interpretation of the Olivet Discourse, you're in a lot of trouble. I'm telling you, it is some of the most confused and confusing testimony that you'll ever find. Well, anyway, I taught the class after coming to my view that the Olivet Discourse was a united discourse. It all talked about first century events. And I asked the ladies' Bible class then, I said, what do you want me to teach on now? And they said, Revelation. Well, I want to tell you, the amillennial world has always had, going all the way back through history, the amillennial world has had tremendous difficulty with Revelation, and anyone that would deny that is just simply ignorant of church history. I told them I had to have another year to prepare myself. Now, in my studies of Matthew 24 and 25, I had seen absolutely direct parallels with the book of Revelation. Now, here's one of the very first things that really struck me. As I read the commentaries about the book of Revelation, most of them then, and still do now, took the late date of the book of Revelation. They believed that it was written under the reign of Domitian, the Roman emperor, and somewhere around 95 to 98 AD, and that it spoke of the Roman Empire as well as what is known as the Reformed view of eschatology, a yet future destruction of the Roman Catholic Church. When I began to see the comparisons between the Olivet Discourse and Revelation, however, I saw an absolute perfect harmony between the discourse and the book of Revelation. Once again, these parallels are attested in the commentaries down throughout history. But as I looked at the evidence for the late date, here's what I discovered. This is what was so tremendously challenging to me from the very beginning. Commentator after commentator after commentator said this: if we were to accept the internal evidence of the book of Revelation for its dating, there's no question that it must have been written prior or during the reign of Domitian, later than the fall of Jerusalem. If, however, we accept the internal evidence, it was probably written prior to the fall of Jerusalem in AD 70. Therefore, we accept Irenaeus, the external evidence. Now wait a minute. Wait just a minute. I'm supposed to accept the uninspired testimony of Irenaeus, who is the chief advocate, the chief testimony for the late date. I'm supposed to accept that over what the book itself actually indicates about the date. What happened to sola scriptura? What happened to the inspiration of Scripture? What happened to the authority of Scripture? This, I have to tell you, was one of the very first challenges that I had to overcome. As I read commentary after commentary who told me we've got to accept uninspired men who wrote over 100 years later, after John, They look back and said, oh, here's when it was written, or they claimed that's what Irenaeus said, over what the book of Revelation itself had to say about what it was about, therefore indicating when it was written. That was my first hurdle in my approach to the study of Revelation. Hey, I'll have a whole lot more on this as I share with you about what challenged me in regard to my views of Revelation. Thanks for joining me this morning on my morning musings. We'll see you in the morning.